DeRoy Cruz here, your Life Applications Officer. This video right here should get me killed, shot, or something of that nature. Let me take this out. Get out of there. Okay. Oh, I didn't put my. Let me hold on here. Let me put my airplane mode on there. There we go. Okay. Alright, we're still in. This video right here should get me shot. But before I get in to being the, as some of my fans will call me, the hypocrite that I am, okay, I just found out that one of my most favorite atheists on YouTube has decided to leave me alone. He's not going to, I guess he got so upset and so bored, and he felt I was so stupid in the last 3 videos that I did that he felt was his business to post on his channel, that they were so important to his channel. I guess he finally got it in his head how dumb I am and how boring I am. Let's move on and find other things to let's move on and worry about what our mission is instead of getting in each other's way. Okay, stick to what we do. Okay. I even went to his channel and I could not find my latest video on there. So, and Lord forgive me for looking for it, but because I shouldn't care. But I'm glad he finally decided to grow a pair and move on and do other things. Okay. Do some real atheist stuff. Do something, you know, work on some real biochemistry or climb into a real tanker or something. You know, I mean, do something with yourself, you know. I'm glad to know that he finally got sick and tired of me and we can both get back to doing what we do instead of me looking over my shoulder wondering if the video that I'm doing is his version or my version. Okay. Anyway, this should get me shot. Did I tell you that I'm DeRoy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer? Because this right here will get a cop shot. Today, and I don't want this to leave, so I'll keep my hand moving, but today, was a very, very, very pleasant day at work today. The bad news was that when I got to work, I had found out like 3 people had left work. 3 of my employees left. They asked me if they could leave because they said their basements were flooded. I'm thinking, it hasn't rained that long, but maybe, I don't know what time the rain started this morning. I think it started pretty early, but I slept all through it. And I think that by the time I got the message on my phone that said a flash flood warning until 10:15 a.m. here in Pittsburgh. And so when I did that, when I looked at that, as I was getting ready for work and getting my things together for work, I'm thinking, man, if it's raining like this when I go to get my bus, that little umbrella, I might as well just get on the bus soaked, because that little umbrella that I got that can fit in my bag, one of them little lady umbrellas, umbrella that that a woman can carry in her purse, that umbrella ain't even worth opening up. Just enjoy the swimming pool and forget about that umbrella. I wasn't even gonna. But it was drying up pretty nice. And it stayed dry from the time I got on the bus till the time I got to work. Matter of fact, it only sprinkled a little bit around, well, it did rain again. It did sprinkle a little bit, and it wasn't really hard rain. It was sprinkling a little bit around, I think, 4 o'clock p.m. I'm not sure, but 3 of my employees had to leave. People getting sick in basements, flooded, and I thought I wasn't going to come home tonight. I thought I was going to spend the night. I really did. I literally thought that the wrong person was going to call out for the wrong shift. I'm going to end up spending the night here. But anyway, the old man was good enough. He was nice enough to come in. I shouldn't call him an old man. That's my buddy. He's not an old man. He's got just as much charisma as I do. He was nice enough to come in. His wife was nice enough to let him come in, understanding the dire straits that we were in. He came in and saved the show. An old man, much older than me. I wouldn't call him an old man, though. He's full of life. He came in and saved the show, so I didn't have to spend a night. And the people that are coming in after him, they showed up, so I didn't have to spend a night. Praise God. So these are all, this is all good news. Okay, now, let me get into it. I was doing my paperwork at work tonight. This happened around 7 o'clock, doing my paperwork. One of my employees came in to sign in, and she says, "Did you see that rainbow outside?" I said, "What?" She said, "Did you see that rainbow outside?" I said, "No, but I'm going to come out and take a picture." About 6:30, 7 o'clock. Well, as I went outside, I wasn't going to walk all the way down to the end of the driveway to see it. But what I could see was it starting to fade out. There was about this much of it left on the horizon. You could see where it was coming from over here and did the alcove kind of thing over this way. But it came back and started to die out here. Okay? And I said, well, I'm not going to take a picture of that. I'd like to take a picture of the whole thing. And we talked about it. And she says to me, she said, "That is so beautiful. I just love rainbows." And I says, "Well, you do know where the rainbow comes from. It represents." She said, and she's not even a Christian. She says, "Well, I know it doesn't represent, We didn't want to go there. We didn't want to get all homoerotic, okay, as some people call it. Okay? She says, she says, "I know it doesn't mean that other thing." She says, "It's, what's his name in the Bible?" This woman ain't even Christian. It's what's his name in the Bible? What's his name? I said, "Noah." And she said, "That's it." And I says, "You believe that?" She says, "I believe that." She said, "Of course I believe that." And she is 100% right. Now let me read the biblical version here of what a rainbow is. And a little disclaimer here. In the Bible, it's called a bow. It's always been called a bow. Who called it a bow? Okay? Who called it a bow? Now, in my version of the Bible, which goes back as far as 1989, 1987, somewhere between 1987 and 1989, my Bible version. The NKJV, it goes back to 87 or 89, one of the two. That's the latest version of it. And in that particular Bible and most of the Alexandrian Bibles, the Alexandrian text, I should say, it says rainbow. Now, a lot of old-fashioned Christians will say, well, that's an oxymoron because it's not called a rainbow. It's called a bow, and they shouldn't call it a rainbow because that's science trying to creep into our Bibles and tell us that, the Bible, tell us how to read our Bible. Okay, and I don't mind calling it a rainbow because one thing the Bible and science will agree upon is that rainbows come after the rain. Okay? Or they come after or they come after the dew. Like sometimes it's not a full rain, it's like, the after rain or the before rain, the pre-rain. Sometimes you'll see rainbows in the clouds for that. Now, I walk out here and I've probably, in my lifetime, probably seen about 6 or 7 rainbows. And some of the prettiest places to see a rainbow. The last time I seen a rainbow, I was traveling and I rode through a part of Pennsylvania that belongs to Native Americans. It has this real weird Indian name to it. And this rainbow, because we were on a turnpike, this rainbow was huge. And we all stopped what we were talking about. This was a men's group. And we're all in there talking about the Lord and talking about who's preaching what and talking about schedule and all this stuff. And we saw this huge rain. We drove through it. It was like right over our heads. It was like right on a turnpike. It was like right in front of us. We all stopped what we were talking about and just started like taking pictures, And when I see a rainbow, and I wasn't going to do this video tonight because I said in my last video that I'm probably not going to do any videos till Monday or Tuesday because those are my days off. But when I saw this rainbow, I says, aha. Just when I want to give my mouth a break and shut up, things like this pop up. You're telling me that the rainbow is scientific, that it comes from, I'll read it. Already don't believe it, I'll read it. Let me read the biblical version, and then I'll read the scientific version. What is the meaning of a rainbow in the Bible? What do colors such as red, blue, and purple mean? Interestingly, we only need to look in 3 places in the Bible to discover. See, I only know Genesis. I didn't know it was in other places. It's in other places in the Bible. Interestingly, we only need to look in 3 places in the Bible to discover the meaning of a rainbow and what certain colors may symbolize. These places to study are found in the books of Genesis, Ezekiel, and Revelation. I will read them later. In the Genesis account, a rainbow appears right after the great worldwide flood, brought in order to remove sinful and evil-minded man from the earth. That's what the rainbow was for. I'm sorry, that was not what the rainbow was for. That was what the flood was for. It symbolized God's mercy. That's what the rainbow is. It symbolizes God's mercy and the covenant he made with Noah, representing mankind, not to destroy the world in such a way ever again. And it's funny how today we had that hard rain, and right after came the rainbow. Beautiful rainbow. And people came into my office and they said, "Hey, did you see that rainbow?" So let me come out there and take pictures. Okay. But I missed it. I only got to see the aftermath of the rainbow itself. And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature with you. For everlasting generations I set my rainbow in the cloud." Literal translation is bow. But we agree that it all deals with the flood. And it's funny, again, how this flash flood warning happened 3 times a day. And on the last flood warning they gave us in the evening, after the rain dried up again, finally the rainbow. Right after people were rushing home because they had a flood in their basement, came this beautiful rainbow. I set my rainbow in the clouds, and it shall be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Want to read something else here. Now, I looked up what the rainbow, I typed in when I got home, I typed in, who gave the rainbow its name? I'm looking all over here, and nobody knows who gave the rainbow its name. Who gave the rainbow its name? Because the Bible called it a bow all the way at the beginning of time. The Bible called it a bow. And it was natural later on, as we get into science and as we get into cultures that study, it was natural to call it the rainbow because it always comes after a rainstorm. And the temperature was supposed to go up to 87 today. Something told me to wear my long sleeve shirt. And thank God I did, because right outside right now, it's pretty cool. Beautiful weather. I mean, that's the kind of weather you want to sit on your porch and sit up all night and talk to your friends on late at night. I mean, that's just cool. So when I asked the question, who gave the rainbow its name? I get Izzy. I get my boy Israel from Hawaii. He's dead and gone now. I get a dozen topics talking about his album and his song Over the Rainbow, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So here's one that I read. Why is the rainbow a symbol of gay it really doesn't explain. It says a rainbow marriage. How did the rainbow become a symbol of gay pride? Okay. Come on down. There you go. Come on down. Here we go. Oh, come on. What kind of... Come on down. Come on. Come. You're making me mad. I'm about to punch my screen. Stop. Stop that. Stop right there. Don't move. Don't you dare. Streets around the world will be decked in rainbows this week as the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community celebrates LGBT Pride Month. Why is gay pride represented by rainbows? Closeted gay people historically use bright colors to signal their homosexuality to each other. Oscar Wilde was famous for wearing a trademark green carnation on his lapel, and the flower is thought to have been used by him and other Londoners and Parisians of the late 19th and early 20th centuries to quietly express their orientation. To quietly express their orientation? Okay, look here. This is why I asked the question. If you are so confident, Bible says whatever is not from faith is sin. If you are so confident that your homosexuality or your gay pride is legit, if it's something to be glorified, if it's something to pay attention to, if it's a lesson, a model to learn something from, why do you need to, where did he put it? Where is it? Used by Londoners and Parisians in the 19th century to quietly express their orientation. But to me, that's not quiet. Because why does anybody have to, why is it my business that you are gay? Why is it anybody's business that you are gay? If nobody, I can understand you marching and protesting because violence against the gay community. But you already, okay, it's been what, over 2 years now since Barack Obama opened all the other states up to gay marriage. So why do you need gay pride in a world that isn't stopping anyone from being gay? Why aren't heterosexuals having a heterosexual pride parade? Why aren't white people having a White History Month or having a white pride parade? Black folks. Okay? I mean, so this video don't take long. I'm going to bed. Look, this is what I'm talking about. There is no reason, if you have the rights if you have the same rights as heterosexuals, or even if you are gradually building those rights up to their fullest extent someday in the very near future, what is the point of you flashing your pride? What is the point? And I had this argument with somebody the other day. Here we go with that alpha and beta male. Okay? All about your personal feelings. Has nothing to do with anything that needs, like I can look at heterosexuality and I can talk about marriage. And I can talk about how a man should love a woman and a woman should love a man. I can talk about roles. I can talk about children respecting their parents and a man and a woman's love for their children and how it's important for a man and a woman, how it's important for a child to have both his mother, okay, and his father biologically in the same relationship for his successful upbringing. But I don't see how you can seriously have these conversations with any other type of relationship. And I know that, I know that you're not willing to put these things on a balance and weigh them. You're not willing to put these things in a test tube and really, 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 really do the test. But all you have is rights and pride. Rights and pride. So let me hear again. Quiet orientation. Novelist Robert Hitchens described the phenomenon in 1894's The Green Carnation, and the book in part spurred Wilde's trial for sodomy. Yellow was used for the same purpose in Australia. That's another thing too. How going back to 1894, nobody called you a homosexual. They were still calling you sodomites. Okay? It's funny how people will say that the Bible does not talk about homosexuality. Christians are fabricating and cherry picking and that making something there that's not. They're reading into the text, they'll say. They're reading into the text. This homosexual's telling you right here that when you read the word sodomy or sodomites in the Bible, you're talking about homosexuality. Okay? Now, in my version of the Bible, the New King James, the NKJV, okay, it's very clear the Bible calls these sodomites homosexuals. Okay? And the word lesbian doesn't show up in the Bible, it just talks about women. I could get out my Bible and read it to you if you want me to. But it just talks about women in their lusts with one another, doing those things that are not godly and fitting with their bodies and amongst themselves, among each other. Okay? But the word lesbian doesn't show up in the Bible. But when you say homosexual, you're mainly talking about a gay male. Okay? But you're right when you say that in the actual text of the Bible, homosexuals are not in there. Sodomites, which is the same thing, is in the Bible. And I'm going to tell you what, I have a King James, I have a KJVER, King James here. I have a King James and I have a KJVER to be exact. The word sodomite shows up more times in all the older Bibles that are Textus Receptus. It shows up more times, whereas in the newer versions, it shows up a little bit less. And they use words in there, and if you read between the lines and read the poetry or the type of literature or whatever, you understand that they're actually still talking about homosexuals. But the word sodomite shows up a lot in the older versions of the Bible, like the King James, the Geneva, the Bishop, the Tyndale, the Great Bible, okay? But I'm closing. Look. Is the rainbow God's colors because of his covenant with Noah? Or is it gay colors? Or are we really going to look at the rainbow and say that, oh, it's a symbol of our gay love? It's our symbol of what Barack Obama did for us. But wait a minute, wasn't the rainbows coming out long before people ever knew what a sodomite was? Doesn't the rainbow come like almost at the beginning of time? The bow, to be exact. Doesn't that come from almost the beginning of time? And who named the rainbow? Who named it? Was it not God in his covenant with Noah that even named it a bow? Which us adding the word rain to it whenever we did that does not change it. It's still a bow. Whether you want to call it a bow or a rainbow, it is God's covenant with Noah. That's why it's there. So in other words, there were no rainbows before God's covenant with Noah. And last but not least, I really believe that we need to read and listen to other teachings or other writings. We need to read other writings other than modern day science and evolution. I really believe that with all my heart. I mean, even if you're not reading the Bible, read other stuff. And I really challenge you to really try to prove, like, for example, try to prove that science, okay, can really explain the rainbow. I mean, I read, and I'm not trying to be, what is that word when you refuse to listen? I'm not trying to over rationalize what a rainbow is. I've always known it since I was a kid, and whenever I see a rainbow in the clouds, it's like God is real to me. It reminds me that God is still busy. That God is not really hiding his face from us. Every time I've ever seen a rainbow, even as a youngster, it's always reminded me that God is not hiding from us. He's right there. Okay? But I want to go to, I want to go to the part where they were trying to explain scientifically what a rainbow is. How is a rainbow formed? Let me go there just for a second. Refraction, reflection, and dispersion of light in water droplets results in the formation of rainbows. Refraction, reflection, and dispersion of light in water droplets results in the formation of rainbows. Now that might have some truth to it, but show me in science why on this rainy day the rainbows don't show up. Or maybe they do show up, but they don't show up in every state and city and town at the same time. Why a rainbow now and not a rainbow the other day when it rained? Or why way over there across the world somewhere and not here in Pittsburgh? Does science really have the answers to all things? I don't believe so. A rainbow is a multicolored arc-shaped phenomenon. That's another thing. It's always that same shape. To me, I'm sorry, that is intelligent design. I'm sorry. I cannot give science the credit for the rainbow. I believe it literally is God's covenant that he promised. And every time you see a rainbow in the clouds, it has nothing to do with the LGBTQ community. It has to do with God's mercy. And it's God's mercy that will cause a gay person to not be gay anymore. If you understand how to read the scriptures. It's God's mercy that would cause a lesbian to go straight. It's God's mercy that would help a would-be transgender person decide that they can live within the body and the shape and the culture that God has formed them in, within the boundaries of their inhabitation and their destiny that God has already given them at the day of their birth, before they were even outside the womb. Okay, you can talk a big game about explaining this. Let me get all technical about what a rainbow is, but you didn't put it up there. Get all technical. Tell me a bunch of big words, but you didn't put it up there. And it's perfectly arched. Okay? There's more going on there than some droplets and some light. More going on than that. I really do believe that Moses heard the voice of God. I really do believe that we can trace a lot of things that go on today in the world that are so beautiful. And I really believe that we can trace them all the way back to the beginning of time. And I also believe that we can give God the credit if we get away from, well, you don't have to get away from, but take a break and study something, that is been already here for God knows how long. I really believe that you can't move the landmark. You really can't move the mountain. You can talk all the evolution, scientific mumbo jumbo all you want to. When has any mountain ever fell on its back? When has any mountain ever grown gray hair and died? Where did you purify the waters? Okay? And make them better than they were in the past? Where have you begun to stop the number of earthquakes? Or where have you begun to do away with earthquakes? What is your plan to climb up to the sun and fix the ozone layer? What is your plan for that? I believe in God. And I believe in God's mercy. And it is God's mercy and God's love that causes me to walk uprightly and deny ungodly lust, to live a life that's pleasing to God. If we could just get past our personal feelings and understand what is morally, honestly within our conscience, if you got one, if you got a conscience, what is morally right? I'm DeRoy Cruz, Life Applications Officer. That rainbow that came out today at my job, I missed the best part of it. But it wasn't for the LGBTQA, A for atheist. It wasn't for the LGBTQA movement religion. It was for DeRoy Cruz. Because Noah and I serve the same God. That rainbow was for us. It wasn't for your paganism. And I'm sure that if you could shoot me for saying that, you would. God bless you. Have a great night. And, oh boy, I got more. And thank you, Mr. DS. You know who you are. Thank you for releasing me and letting me do what I do as this life applications officer guy on YouTube that wants to continue to kick the butt of those that want to hang on to paganism. Thank you. Have a great night. If not Monday or Tuesday, it'll be sooner. God bless you. Thank you.